先生よろしくお願いいたします。
Thank you, thank you. Mitsu, thank you very much for your introduction. I will be in Mexico City next week. Can you come with me to introduce me again? Mitsu is one of the top scholars in marketing, specialization in distribution, and I've always admired him when we go way back in time. Well, I would like to start and share with you some ideas. I want to start with some ideas that I got yesterday, and then move to the book and the 8 ways to get more growth. I mean, I hope if your company is one that is not growing and you're trying to find some formula or recipe for growing, I believe the book that you're going to hear about provides some ideas to you. But let me back up first and say that I've had a wonderful relationship with Japan for so many years. I made many trips here, even though it was 10 years ago that I made my last trip. I've always been interested in Japanese culture. It's a distinct culture. It is something that almost everyone wants to know more about. So many things, bonsai trees, flower arranging, tea ceremonies. I myself took to collecting 2 things that are very Japanese that some of the modern people, the newer people, don't even know about, namely netsukes, which are wonderfully small carvings, usually in ivory or wood, that functioned before you got wearing Western dress. You were in kimonos, you had an obi, and you had to carry around a case, a tobacco case or a medicine case, and you had to suspend it from the obi, and it took a weight that ended up being carved into netsuke. That is the history of that. And then I also am enamored of what are called tsuba. Tsuba are the sword guards in the Japanese swords. If you took apart a Japanese sword, the tsuba is the guard that prevents your hand from going into the blade. But in any case, my interest has been strong. So strong that I wrote an article some years ago, probably in 1982, with the title, World Champion Marketers, the Japanese. Remember, in the 70s and the 80s, we were all so impressed with Japanese companies and worried about the Japanese companies. And when I wrote this article, some American CEOs were very angry at me because they thought that America has the world champions in marketing. And they said, "You did a bad thing to America. Professor Kotler, you taught the Japanese on how to beat us." I said, wait, I didn't teach only the Japanese on how to beat us. I wrote the book for everyone. So the difference must be that it was the Japanese students that I had that believed what I was saying was true. And the Americans who read my book felt maybe they'll learn more about what is true when they get in business. And it was that difference that the Japanese students said, this must be the way you do marketing. And the message was this: you will always win if you make a better product and charge less. And in fact, Japan was known for not innovating products, but for copying products. They would copy our cars. They would copy our machines, our Xerox machines, but make them better and bring down the cost. And that's what worked so well, and that's why I said the Japanese are the world's champion marketers. And in the 70s and 80s, we saw you winning in so many industries: electronics, cameras, cars, motorcycles, watches, shipbuilding, pianos, zippers, YKK, radios, television sets, and so on. it looked like you were going to be number one in the world, not just number one in Japan. So the question becomes, what happened in the last 20 years? Why the decline? Not an absolute decline, but the slowdown. What is that about? I think I would like to suggest some of the reasons. Success is a wonderful thing, and it is also a bad thing. Because when you are successful, you become complacent, maybe even arrogant. You think you already own the world. And so that itself slowed you down. Secondly, I think that your market was growing in Japan, and you felt that there's so much money to be made just developing Japan more that you didn't continue to export strongly around the world. Although you continued to do that, you paid more attention to developing the Japanese marketplace. Also, I thought that the people who created your companies, Sony, Panasonic, many other companies, they were entrepreneurs. They were creative people. And maybe they were not succeeded by the same level of creativity. The managers were very good, but there was something missing from the imagination of the new leaders. Then I thought that you didn't do your marketing right. I had not realized that, but now I'm convinced that too much Japanese marketing is 1P marketing. The P is for promotion. In other words, your companies do a good job of making 30-second commercials, brochures, but remember, there's 3 more Ps. What about the product? What about the price? What about the place or distribution? And it seems that you treat a lot of your marketing people, in fact, in many of your companies, marketing is only a set of people who work in the sales department. It's like a little branch of the sales department. That's not the way I understand marketing to be. And even if you have separate marketing, most of it is tactical, very little is strategic. Strategic marketing is about thinking ahead. Like, what products should we be making 3 years from now? See, and I think there's been a disconnect that your marketing people have not been into the product part. You're so good at manufacturing and good at some R&D that you think they will make the products and it's our job in marketing to sell it. No, I want marketing to participate in deciding what products you should be making. Why? Because marketing is in touch with the market. They watch the new needs. They can detect new opportunities. They can measure the opportunities. They could calibrate the size. Is this a good one or a bad one? So marketing must have a voice in the very process of deciding on your product portfolio. And you're not going to have that voice if you don't have a CMO, a Chief Marketing Officer. I was disappointed to hear there are very few Chief Marketing Officers in Japan. In my country, there are 3,000 CMOs. And the CMOs talk to each other and learn from each other. And the CMOs do important things. They represent the voice of the customer. They represent new technologies that the marketing people should use, things like neuroscience, things like more sophisticated analytics, something we call predictive analytics. So the CMO has to bring in new technologies, needs to bring in fact, I want the CMO to evaluate your product mix and say, we've got some products that are just not selling. We better streamline our product mix, and so on and so forth. So I think you haven't used the power of marketing to get out of the doldrums. Another possibility is, I am told that you're slower. You're slower in making decisions. Maybe you're very fast in carrying them out, But this is a world of speed today. It's a world that needs, you have to be fast. Think of Samsung. Samsung is very fast. Samsung scares Sony. So what is that? What is Samsung about? The interesting thing is you taught Samsung. Samsung is just Japanese thinking done on speed. And I'll tell you one example. When Samsung creates a new smartphone, the next day they appoint a new committee to make the phone obsolete. They just made it. They made no money yet. And they're ready to improve it. Most of us just make a new product and we wait and sell it. So this kind of new speed is something we have to learn. And I wonder if these wonderful things you have in your organizational culture of lifetime employment and seniority, which has worked very well in the past, became, in a sense, a stumbling block and has to be rethought. You always have to rethink your business. Lifetime employment is wonderful, yes, but it should be deserved. It should be everyone in the firm should be creating value, and then seniority is a good term. I mean, if people work a longer time for a company, they should be honored and rewarded. But what about merit? Meritocracy, and we believe that that's very important and maybe was missing. And finally, maybe you're taking too much the point of view of what is called Wall Street capitalism, which is another term for being so financially minded and short-term minded that all you care about is, did we that quarter accomplish what we wanted to accomplish? Which really means that you're